Well, good morning, and thank you for coming to Escambia County Fire Rescue Station 12. My name is Davis Wood, and I am the Public Information and Education Officer for Escambia County Public Safety. We're here to discuss a fire rescue that took place on October 7th, Saturday, and along with that, we want to tie it into Fire Prevention Month. And without further ado, I'll hand it on over to the Escambia County Fire Rescue Chief, Adam Harrison.
Thank you. Thank you, Davis. I appreciate that. I want to thank a couple of the members that are here. Number one, the media, thank you for coming out today. I'd also like to thank the Public Safety Director, Eric Gilmore. Additionally, I'd like to thank Commissioner Bender for coming out. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for gathering here today as we celebrate the historic efforts of Escambia County Fire Rescue. It is with great pride and gratitude that we come together to honor the bravery and dedication in these remarkable individuals who exemplify the very essence and selflessness and courage. The courageous act is a testament of the sacrifice our firefighters make every day. They willingly place themselves in harm's way to ensure our safety and well-being. They do not seek recognition or accolades. They do this because it's their calling, their mission, and their passion. As we gather here, let us take a moment to reflect on the significance of their actions. Let us remember that it is through their bravery and dedication that our community stands strong and more resilient in the face of adversity. Today, we honor these heroes. We commend their selflessness, their courage, and their commitment to our community. We also extend our deepest gratitude to the families who support them, knowing that each call they answer may carry great risk. Thank you.
Good morning, thanks for being here. Kurt Isaacson, Battalion Chief, Escambia County Fire Rescue. Before we get into the exact details about Saturday, October 7th, when Escambia County Fire Rescue was dispatched for a house fire at 6:43 p.m. I'd like you to understand that this evening and what transpired in the successful rescue and removal of an Escambia County citizen would not have been possible if it was not for the support of our politicians, our taxpayers, our civilians, and 23 years of work. It has taken 23 years since the inception of the first staff station here in Escambia County Fire Rescue in January of 2000, with 36 firefighters staff and 10 stations throughout the county, strictly Monday through Friday, 7 to 4. Now today, in 2023, specifically the rescue that we'll talk about, we have large number of stations that are fully staffed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It is now that we see the fruits of our labor, the fruits of our politicians, elected officials' labors over the last 23 years. Escambia County Fire Rescue has a mission of being aggressive. It's well known, not just here in Northwest Florida, but around the country, that Escambia County Fire Rescue is aggressive. People ask me frequently as I travel, why are you so aggressive? We're aggressive because in the inception stage of Escambia County Fire Rescue after 2000, we had 21 civilian fire fatalities in less than 18 months. That's correct. 21 citizens of this county died in house fires in ones and twos, and it can easily be forgotten and lost when it's in small numbers, but each one of those count to their family and their friends. That's what introduced the fire prevention effort that we have today, a 595 HERO that you can call to have us come install a smoke detector. So our operational abilities bridge the gap between life and death. When smoke detectors fail, we cannot fail. Fire prevention is first and foremost, but when the smoke detector fails because it does not exist or the battery is dead, that is when Escambia County Fire Rescue comes in, and we must respond trained and rapidly, because in today's fires in America, it's only 3 minutes and 40 seconds from ignition to flashover and non-survivable conditions within that room. It is our mission and mindset, we will come for you. Whether you're a citizen of Escambia County or a visitor, when you call 911, we will respond. America burning May 4th, 1973. Over 11 billion of our resources were wasted in destructive fires each year. Additionally, 12,000 people were killed, tens of thousands injured, some disabilities. Present day, October 20th, 2023, Statistics United States Fire Administration here in America in 2021 estimated 486,500 structure fires. As of collected statistics in 2021, the total number of civilian deaths from fires was 3,800, an increase of 8.5 or 300 deaths from 2020. So fire safety, fire prevention, it being October, the traditional fire prevention month, is critical. It is important you check your smoke detector and have a plan, because people still die in their home where they feel safe. Fires are burning hotter, faster, and more violently with less time for a civilian to escape. Recently, just a few years ago, a group of volunteers got together and they created what's called the Firefighter Rescue Survey. Over 3,500 documented rescues by firefighters in the last few years was completed. With that work, that report, through news agencies, documentation, through fire reports, it is now the average of 9.8 civilians in this country are rescued every day from fire. 9.8 people in America are pulled from buildings on fire with a chance to live. 3% of our time report that all victims were out. The fire on October 7th, just down the street here from this firehouse on a Saturday night, at 6:43 when people would be eating dinner, it was reported that the house was vacant and everybody had made it out safe. Out of 3,500 documented rescues, it's only 3% of the time when somebody reports that everybody's out that somebody's still in there. But even at 3%, Escambia County Fire Rescue rose to the occasion. The gentlemen, the members of Escambia County Fire Rescue standing behind me, didn't look at it as only 3%. They looked at it as a calling, a passion, a drive, a mission that was established 23 years ago when we had created the Escambia County Fire Rescue. 29% of the time, there was no one telling us that anyone was inside. That too is a factor, because on North White Street a year and a half ago, this same ladder company responded with no indication or signs of anybody being inside on a 10 o'clock in the morning with beautiful weather. There was a gentleman inside, and Escambia County Fire Rescue that day rose to the occasion, did a rapid search under significant fire conditions, and removed that gentleman, who was able to live for another day, another week, and I would assume and hope that he's still alive today. Escambia County Fire Rescue responds daily. We respond daily to win. This success does not just happen as our daily commitment and dedication to the job we perform so others can live another day. It is our training, the foundational cornerstone that prepares and positions us to perform under even the most demanding of conditions. It is our mindset, a mindset we will continue to display today, tomorrow, next week, and next year, because we play to win on every run, every day, 365 days a year. And if you look behind you there in 2022, Escambia County Fire Rescue, 2,880 fire calls. That does not include medical calls. That's fire calls. We are busy with fires in Escambia County, so we will continue our mission to improve fire prevention and bridge the gap through our operational efficiency with staffing and the fastest response times possible. We will continue to respond. With that, I'm proud, honored to be a part and get to work side by side with these gentlemen behind me, and I'd like to call up Lieutenant Keith Chapman, who was hired shortly after the original 36 firefighters were hired 23 years ago, so he knows Escambia County. He's committed to Escambia County, and he was the officer that arrived first at 6:47, only 4 minutes after dispatch, and that's what gave us a fighting chance.
Good morning. I'm Lieutenant Keith Chapman. I'm the fire officer on Engine 17. My crew is behind me here to my right. I guess just to talk a little bit about that day. We arrived first on scene. It is a single-story block structure, residential structure. As we pulled up, there was heavy smoke showing. When I exited the vehicle, or the fire truck, made my way around, I spoke to 3 occupants out front. All stated everybody was out of the residence. You could see heavy fire out the, we call it the Delta side, but as you're looking at the residence, it'd be the right side. which is where the door was. And as I'd made my way around to the right side of the house, you can see the fire had already vented out a door that was left open. As the fire was coming out, my driver, David Carbolosa, and my nozzle guy, who was going to be on the hose that day, both stretched the line flawlessly up to the house. I would say within 30 to 40 seconds on scene, we had water on the fire. We were making entry. As we went in, you could hear a couple of dogs basically burning to death. My nozzle guy went straight into the fire. We were grabbing the dogs in their cages, bringing them out. As we were bringing them out, just moments behind us, ladder 12, which is on my left, arrived on scene. As ladder 12 was going in, they bumped me on the back. They were going in for a search. I'll let them tell you a little bit about what happened, but you know, a couple of things that happened that was significant on that fire is 2 fire trucks on scene, water in the fire, water on the fire within 2 minutes of being on scene, and then also we were able to save a human life. But I'll let the officer of ladder 12 or turn the time back over to Chief Isaacson. Any questions?
As you hear from Lieutenant Chapman, their job as the first arriving fire truck is to rapidly extinguish fire. And even with the civilians being trapped, that is critical based on fire growth, because as soon as they can control the fire, the survivability continues to increase. So as Lieutenant Chapman said, ladder 12 arrived shortly after them, being the second arriving company, and on top of that also being what's considered a ladder company. Their job is to search as a ladder company. They're going to go in for a primary search regardless of what's reported, because that's the mission of Escambia County Fire Rescue. So Lieutenant Anderson is the second arriving officer in command of ladder 12.
Good morning. Jake Anderson, company officer, ladder 12. We arrived right after engine 17. We noticed they were stretching the line. We were assigned to search, particularly for trapped civilians. We made our way through the yard, myself and Tyler Jackson. We went in for a search. We were going to do a left-hand search, which is we call it a primary search, which is a rapid, thorough search, just to make sure there's no one in every room systematically. Within seconds of being inside, Tyler calls to me and says that he's found somebody. So I immediately turned my attention to Tyler, and we assist, along with Lieutenant Chapman, of getting the gentleman outside to the yard and to EMS as rapidly as possible. And then just as quick as he went to EMS, Tyler and I went back inside to continue a search, because where you find one, you might find more. And that pretty much wraps up ladder 12's role.
Awesome. Thank you, Lieutenant Anderson. A round of applause for Engine 17 and ladder 12 for rising above and beyond. I would just like to close with that this is one of the few times in 23 years that we've called a press conference to share information with the citizens, visitors of Escambia County Fire Rescue on our successes. Historically in the fire service, and I can say based on being a second-generation firefighter, in the fire service we're raised that we're just doing our job, that we don't talk about making rescues, making grabs, so much as to not even talking about it when we get off duty and get home. But as time goes on, we understand how critical it is to let the citizens, the visitors know that we are here. We will do our job. It's worth the risk for us to risk our life to save your life and give you a chance. And I'm proud and honored that on top of this one, each year that goes by over the last 23 years, every year we seem to be getting more and more success stories of being able to do things based on our staffing, our response times, and just being a more experienced organization. So thank you for coming out. And please remember, with it being October and Fire Prevention Month, to check your smoke detector when the clock changes, change the battery. Just do it now. Why wait 2 or 3 weeks? Because in my experience as a firefighter, I've experienced over 50 civilian fire fatalities. That's correct, me. Not a very old person, and in my career, over 50 people have died in house fires. And I cannot remember one time out of that over 50 civilians that have died, there was an operational smoke detector. It is that critical. Smoke detectors work. They're your first line of defense. They're going to notify you to get you out in under 3 minutes and 40 seconds. So with me being over 50 civilian fire fatalities, thinking that if those people would have had an operational smoke detector, that number would not exist. Thank you very much.